Bob Vila. Welcome home again. As you can see, we've finished all the exterior painting on the house, and boy, I love the color. Today we're working indoors. We're going to be showing you how to install a brand new lavatory in the powder room under the staircase and how to put in the brass fittings. And then we're going traveling to Kohler, Wisconsin to visit the folks at Kohler who make all those plumbing fixtures. And I've also got another delivery from California Closets. I'm going to show you these beautiful mahogany built-ins in my closet. Stick around. It's good to have you home again.
Bob Vila's home again.
You know, for a shingle style house, or any style house, it's unusual to have this kind of front porch, which is almost a square notched out of the house itself. And I think what happened here is that originally this was a veranda all the way across. And they enlarged the living room and enclosed part of that veranda and just left this as a new front porch. I love the details here, though. We've picked this color scheme on purpose. It's clearly a Victorian color scheme with the mulberry on the shingles and the very dark Essex green on all the trim. And then we've done other things like blacken the actual sash so that all the mutton bars become really very thin, slender, and you hardly notice them. And then things like the ceiling here in the porch, which is a beadboard ceiling. The Victorians very often would have painted them blue. Actually, even earlier houses would have had ceilings like this painted sky blue. We've done that. The railing that will go back here is still being milled, but these are the original columns, and they're kind of a Tuscan order. They're a very simple column that just tapers a little bit towards the top and has a very, very simple capital of just some concentric rings. We've taken this as inspiration for a new detail in the front hall. Come on in. Now, this house was renovated probably around 1970, and one thing that happened was that most of the detailing, picture moldings, chair railings, door trim, were thrown in the dumpster. And when we got here, we had flush doors, as you see here, and we had very little detailing of any sort. And what the architect has done is to give me more detail that would have been appropriate to a house of this age. In fact, this, as I said a minute ago, is echoing the columns that we see on the front of the house. And I want you to look at how it's been designed because the proportions are important. The base is just made out of poplar. All of this is going to be painted, but we continue to repeat this motif of the recessed panels with a molding that matches the original doors in the house. And then, of course, we've got two of these columns which are of the Tuscan order, which is basically a Renaissance version of an Ionic column. And then the most beautiful detailing is what's known as an architrave, which is basically a header. But if you look at this, this is all made from one piece of wood up here, which was originally a 5/4 thick piece of poplar, about 12 inches across. And there's a machine that will actually bring the wood through the cutter and move it at an angle in order to create that curve all out of one piece. Now, the wood isn't expensive, but the machine time adds up to a few $100 just to make these cuts on either side. And I'm going to interrupt David Ive here. David, you've been doing a beautiful job on this.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Where did the columns come from?
These are from Pennsylvania. They're a staved unit. They've got 11 pieces in them.
Now, when you say staved, that means that each, well, like a barrel is staved.
Exactly like a barrel.
Indeed, and you can see it there. And so that's the way they would have been made 100 years ago, right?
Yes, they would. And they turned them on a lathe to get this column designed like this. And they did the same thing out on the front porch, the same type of a column unit.
Now, you've created the same kind of pedestal here, and you've backed it up with what I guess would be called a pilaster up against the wall. And this, all these elements coming together really help define and separate what is our vestibule from the main hall. Now, how do you put that column in there?
Well, we have these measured just exactly to fit. And what they do is fall right in place, all marked. And laid out so that they go in very smooth because this is a final detailing here. And this has to go in as clean as possible. And that's just exactly how it goes in. Just a few adjustments here and that's it.
And then will you actually put nails through there?
Yes, it will be tacked with fine tacks and then it's set to go.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's take a look at the end of the hall where we've got a beautiful new floor in the powder room. The casework in this hall really is going to be spectacular when it's painted out and we put the wallpaper in. But look at this floor. This is a true mosaic. It's made out of several colors of marble that have been tumbled to give them kind of a worn and ancient effect. Very, very beautiful product. And in here, we've always had a half bathroom under the staircase, or at least probably for the last 50 or 60 years. We've just totally redone it, new plaster, etc. Here we've got a new Kohler toilet in tender gray, which is a very, very nice color. But what I like is the design of these. They're kind of reminiscent of early toilet fixtures from the turn of the century where they had a tank like that lifted up a little bit. And then in the corner, this is a small space and you've got to fit things in. In the corner we've got a vanity that has this half circle designed into it and circular doors. These were made by our friends out in New Holland, Pennsylvania at Heritage. And then what we're dealing with right now is fitting a Carrara marble top that has to be precisely fit in, and also we're installing the sink and the fittings. And if you think about it, you don't want to do it here. You want to do it, well, let's go in the living room. We'll get together with Ron Idarola, who's in the middle of doing this. Hi, Ron.
Hi, Bob.
It's pretty obvious. All you do is you turn it upside down and you install the sink and the fittings in this position so you don't have to go like a garage mechanic on your back inside the bathroom. So let's talk about the sink here. How have you attached this sink to the marble top?
Okay, we've used the vinyl adhesive caulking. And
so there's a bead of vinyl adhesive caulking all the way around the sink.
Yes, there is.
And then just these clamps here.
And then there are these clamps that are supplied by the factory, the Kohler factory, with lead shields that have been drilled into the marble by the marble company.
Yeah, so it's a pretty complicated thing. You've got to specify exactly the size of the marble. Of course, the architect made a template for the marble company to work from. Can I tip this up so we can all look at it? Isn't that beautiful? Yeah, again, it's the same gray. And this is a very close approximation to the type of early plumbing installations you'd see in the 1890s. Careful with that. Okay, what's next? We're ready to put this other faucet in?
We're ready to put this faucet in, but we have to put some sealant here. You really shouldn't be using any plumber's putty because they claim that it'll damage the marble.
Oh yes, anything with an oil base to it, if you use it as a caulking product around marble, it can ruin the marble because it's a very porous stone. And you don't want that to happen.
Okay, if we position this way.
Bronze and copper, beautiful.
Have to be very careful not to crack the marble. The marble is very easily cracked.
So you can't apply too much pressure on that.
That's correct.
Okay, and now the mixer valve obviously is in the middle, but you're connecting with, well, this is new to me. It's kind of a vinyl tubing?
It's a vinyl tubing that has a woven fiberglass mesh inside. And it's
A lot easier to work with, I assume.
yes, it is.
Okay, let's
Very
put that
easy
on.
to work with. And it's very difficult to kink it, which is good for the installer.
All right, well, let's tighten that up and we'll go test it on the Vanity. But first, we've got to break for some messages, and when we come back, we'll be visiting the Kohler factories in Kohler, Wisconsin. Stick around. We're in Kohler, Wisconsin, visiting the Kohler Company, one of the major manufacturers of plumbing products. And who better to tell us all about it than the great-granddaughter of the founder, Laura Kohler. Hi.
Welcome, Bob.
Thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks.
It's great that we can start our tour not in the factory, but here in your showroom, because this is a pretty unique facility, right?
Well, we think so. It's a 10-year-old design center. We created it so customers could actually get an idea of how to use our products.
And it's become a tourist attraction as well.
Oh yeah, over 100,000 people a year visit the design center.
It's a little bit like going to a museum of modern art to look at not just plumbing fixtures, but the architecture here is pretty neat.
Well, yeah, and the sound and the water's moving, and there's lots of workable products, and it's a lot of fun.
Lots of us who are in the building business and remodeling are familiar with many of these products, like these wonderful teal fixtures, the whirlpools and the pedestal sinks and the like. But you guys are constantly bringing out new things. What are some of the new products?
Well, we've got the 10-jet body spa, which is actually, in simple terms, a standing whirlpool, which has 37 gallons of water and recirculates that water at 80 gallons of water per minute. So it's quite a huge force coming at you.
Yeah, that sounds like...
But you can regulate it, so you can get the massage that you really want.
And there's also new whirlpools that are just traditional ones, right?
We've got a luxurious whirlpool that actually has back jets and a neck pillow with jets coming through, so it massages your neck.
What's that called?
The Vigora.
The Vigora.
And then we've got vessels, which are actually above-counter lavs that actually sits on the counter of your bathroom or
So this is
kitchen.
really leading edge contemporary design as well, but what I've always enjoyed about some of the Kohler lines is the kind of reproduction pieces that replicate some of the early plumbing fixtures. In fact, we're using some of them in our house.
We've got a number of traditional suites, the portrait, the vintage, and the revival.
Well, this is a lot like visiting a design display, but what we really want to do is learn a little bit about how the vitreous china is manufactured.
Well, then let's go over to our pottery. We've got Ken Worth over there, and he's the manager of new product design, and he can show you.
Great. Ken, tell us where the raw material comes from.
Well, our raw materials come in boxcars from North Carolina and Illinois, and slurry comes in tank cars from Tennessee and Georgia.
And it's all stored out in powder form out there in silos, right?
The powdered form is in the 3 silos you see out front.
And then here you've got the actual mixing operation.
Right.
How are you
Mike,
doing?
how's it going? How's the batch look?
It's fairly smooth right now. It was a little lumpy 5 minutes ago. It's looking real well now.
How long does it take to get a batch like this ready to go?
About 55 minutes. If we get it all on target, normally 55 minutes.
And do you have to worry about lumps or impurities in there?
What we do upon completion of this 55-minute cycle, we will run all the finished slip over a screening device, which is an 85 mesh screen, and that'll remove all the impurities. Part of those impurities are lignite as well as iron. And here we've got the magnetic filters. They'll be used to...
These things here, these pipes and valves and things are actually magnets?
Right. Those are magnets which will pull out the metal content that remains in there.
Is there much to deal with?
Well, there's enough that it'll cause a defect in the final process, and defects in the final process just downgrade the quality of your product.
Yeah.
And
Kohler does not make seconds. Anything that has a defect gets broken up, right?
That's right.
The slurry then is piped from here to where they put it in the actual molds?
From here, we pump our slurry into the storage tanks. And the storage tank is a holding area for approximately 24 to 48 hours. From there, we pump it into our final casting distribution tanks.
So tell us what's happening in the cast shop.
The cast shop, we will get the slip down through the respective distribution lines. The caster will fill the mold either through a top funnel, or he will use the pin and fill from the bottom.
And these gentlemen are working at a pretty fast pace here.
Right, and because of the pace that these people work at, this is directly tied into the compensation that they can earn on a daily basis.
Okay.
This is a very good workforce that we have in this community.
That's great. And then once the slurry is put into these molds, how long does it have to stay in the mold?
Normal time is about 60 minutes for the process, and then we'll drain out the excess slip, and about 15-20 minutes or a half hour after that draining process, they will remove the top core.
This is a pretty vast space. Now, what do you call this area?
This is the cast shop area.
The cast shop. And what are these men doing?
They're rolling out the green piece. At this point, they're removing the top core, and they'll be getting ready to punch the faucet holes and the overflow holes.
So there you got a lavatory.
There you've got the lavatory that started as a liquid this AM and is now finished product here.
And from here, well, obviously they're cutting in the holes while it's still soft, but what happens next to it?
It goes through the drying process and then to the glaze department, our spray department, where glaze is applied. Then we place it into the kiln for final vitrification.
Vitrification meaning actually turning into a glass-like material, right? Okay, at this point, all of this is basically finished, toilets or lavatories or whatever, right?
Yes.
And what happens here?
This is the quality control inspection area where he will use the ball to sound the piece. That soundness tells us that there's a defect in the product because it was not a crisp sound.
Can we compare the two? That one's good?
Yes.
That was duller.
Defect, right.
Okay, so what happens to that one?
That's a defective product, which we will call scrap.
Okay, well, what happens next to the ones that are good?
All the good pieces now will be passed on to the water test station where they're checked for leaks.
Yeah.
And at that particular point, they will move to the grinding area for 100% grinding it a foot so it's in plane, ready to go to the packing station and then to the customer.
The last step is to make sure it's flat so that when we seat it on a ceramic tile floor, it doesn't wobble.
That's right.
Terrific. Ken, thanks for the tour.
Thanks a lot.
Stick around. We'll be right back after these messages. Okay, watch the corners there. Yep. That's a tight fit. Go perfect. Now this is what you call an under mount, which means the lavatory gets mounted underneath whatever the material of the countertop is. Now how do you fasten this to the cabinet? Do you need to?
Yes, we use a vinyl adhesive.
Same product, okay.
Same product.
Nice job. Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome.
Let's go upstairs and look at some closets. Now this is really special. I've never had a closet quite like this. Well, we framed all the partitions and then covered them in plywood so that we can really panel this whole room, because the whole system, this whole California closet system, can also provide you with paneling like this. These are mahogany that's farmed in Brazil. They're manufactured in Brazil. They've got the finish on them down there. They wrap them up and send them to you anywhere in the world. And we're going to apply this to all the plywood that you see so that the whole area is going to be mahogany. But behind all these doors, you've got incredible systems for storage. And here in the corner, the armoire unit is hinged in the middle so that the doors will not bump into this side piece here. Isn't that nifty? We've got shelves, sock drawers, whatever, etc. And then in this section here and in this section they're hanging space, and they take advantage of all the room you've got by giving you a shelf in the middle with another rod. But my favorite feature in the whole closet is over here. I've got a built-in dresser, and the top drawer is about 2 inches deep. Really shallow drawer, but it's perfect for when you empty your pockets, your change, your wallet and stuff. That way you don't make a clutter up here. Let's go into the other bedroom and meet Sheila Smaltz from California Closet, where we're putting in a different type of system. Hey Sheila, how are you?
Hey Bob, nice to see you again.
I love that closet over there. Now this is your more traditional closet system here, isn't it?
Yes, it is. This is our white melamine California closet system done
Yeah.
up with some bullnose shelving. And basically we've taken a very small closet, as you can see, and we've packed in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We've packed in chest of drawers.
Yeah. What are the drawers like?
Well,
oh, yeah. You've
isn't
got
that
all
a great one? You
Uh-huh.
can use that for socks or lingerie.
And of course you can remove this if you don't want this kind of divider.
Exactly.
What's this meant to hold?
Well, this is a new line for us. These are our shoe cubbies, and it's great to put in pairs of shoes or just small items that you might have hanging around that you want a place to store.
Now hanging is the secret here. There's that white rod back there is where the whole load of this unit is hung off of, and if you are an apartment dweller, you take this off and put it in the moving truck, right?
That's right. It's an easy system to install and to remove because it is basically bolted into the studs on the wall and off the floor.
On this side, you've decided to put in 2 hanging rods, and I notice on the other side it's different. How come?
Well, we have done a long hanging section here, but the beauty of our systems are that they're fully adjustable, and you can take the pole out, and I can show you very easily. And
So that this can be moved up and down.
that's right.
at any
You can
point.
set it for a small child.
Yeah, it's a
to be
good
lower.
idea. Yeah. If you've got growing children, that's the trick, right?
That's exactly right.
Well, thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Bob.
We've got a break for some messages. Don't go away. Well, it's time to wrap things up. Come home again next time when we're going to take you on a shopping spree at Country Floors of New York in the middle of Manhattan. We're going to be getting lots of beautiful tile, and back here we'll show you how to waterproof a shower stall before actually installing the ceramic tile. And I hope we'll get started with the whole reworking of all the landscaping. Till then, I'm Bob Vila. It's great to have you home again.